Episode 12. It's a war going on outside. Arguments happen in the neighborhood all the time. Fights too. Little disagreements started over basketball games, girls, music, or somebody stepping on the wrong pair of shoes. Most of these things ended the same way though. Same way they started. Loud, quick, then forgotten. But every once in a while, something bigger started. Something that moved past a single argument. Something that stretched across blocks, across neighborhoods, across people who didn't even know how the problem began. And once things reached that level, everybody understood what it meant. It meant war. The whole situation started small, like most disasters did. Dre walked into TERRACE Gardens that afternoon looking different. Not his usual loud self, not joking, not smiling. His jaw was tight, his fists were clenched, the kind of anger that came from humiliation. Peanut noticed immediately. Man, what happened? Dre kicked the rock across the courtyard. Man, I got robbed. The whole stoop went quiet. Jojo leaned forward. Where? The corner store. Patel's? No. Dre shook his head. The one near the courts. Nobody said anything for a moment, because that changed everything. Man, who did it? I asked. Dre started towards the street. Some dude from the courts. That was all it took. In neighborhoods like ours, information moved faster than the truth. By the time the sun went down, had the TERRACE Gardens already knew. And once the older guys heard it, the energy shifted. Manny heard about it first. He was leaning against his candy green Impala near the basketball court when Dre told him the story. They took your phone? Manny asked. And my money. Manny's jaw tightened slightly. Malik stood beside the car listening. Quiet. That quiet meant something. Malik didn't get loud when things were serious. He got silent. A few more older guys drifted over. Guys who had been outside longer than we had. 17, 20, 25. Guys who already had reputations. Guys who moved through the neighborhood like they carry invisible weight. They spoke in low voices, short sentences. Nobody laughed. Nobody joked. Because once the older guys started talking like that, everybody understood something was building. The first shots came 2 nights later. Nobody saw how it started, just the sound. Gunfire echoing through the dark streets between the way and the courts. Pop, pop, pop. The sound bounced off the apartment buildings like thunder. People ran inside, doors slammed, windows shut. Parents grabbed kids off the playground like a storm had suddenly arrived. Police sirens filled the air. Minutes later, that night nobody slept easily. The next morning, the story spread through the courtyard. Shootout last night. TERRACE Gardens and Palace Courts. Somebody almost got hit. Nobody knew the full story, but everyone understood the meaning. The line between the neighborhoods had been crossed, and once that happens, things rarely calm down quickly. After that, the tension stayed. Not every day, but enough. Gunshots in the distance, police helicopters circling overhead at night, parents calling their kids inside earlier than usual. Even the basketball court started emptying before sunset. Miss Sheila stood outside the community center one afternoon shaking her head. This fool just gonna get somebody killed. Nobody argued, because everybody knew she wasn't wrong. The thing happened and made everything real. It was a Saturday afternoon. The kind of normal moment the neighborhood needed. Kids were running near the playground. Some people were cooking outside. The basketball court was finally loud again. Then shots came. Fast, close. People screamed. Parents ran towards their children. Doors slammed. Bodies hit the ground. But this time, someone got hit. Not one of the guys involved. Not someone in an argument. A little boy, 8 years old. Standing near the wrong corner of the playground when a bullet started flying. The ambulance came fast, but the silence that followed felt heavier than any siren. Even the toughest guys outside looked shaken, because there were supposed to be rules. Kids were never supposed to be part of it. 2 days later, it got worse. Word spread that a senior citizen from the courts had been shot across town. 70-year-old walking home from the store, not involved, not connected, just caught in the middle. Now, it wasn't just neighborhood talk anymore. Now it was on the news. Reporters standing outside both housing complexes, talking about violence, talking about retaliation, talking about a city losing control. The mayor mentioned Terrace Gardens and Palace Courts by name, and suddenly everybody realized something. This wasn't just neighborhood business anymore. The whole city was watching. That night, something unusual happened. Manny and a few of the guys left the neighborhood. Malik went with them. Nobody said where they were going. Nobody asked, but people understood. Sometimes wars ended the same way they started, with people meeting face to face. The next afternoon, the energy in Terrace Gardens felt different. Still tense, still cautious, but calmer. Manny stood beside his Impala again. Malik leaned against the car quietly. Dre walked over. So what's happening? Manny looked across the courtyard. Kids playing again. People sitting on benches. The neighborhood trying to breathe again. Then he said quietly, "It's done." "What you mean it's done?" Dre asked. "Peace." Dre blinked. "Just like that?" Manny shrugged. "Everybody realizing something." "What?" Malik finally spoke. His voice calm, low. "Too many innocent people getting hurt." Nobody argued with that, because everybody knew it was true. Sometimes war didn't end because somebody won. Sometimes it ended because everybody finally understood nobody was winning. That night, I sat by the window with my notebook. The courtyard lights flickered outside. Kids were back on the basketball court. Music played softly through that summer air. Life was trying to return to normal. But the news on TV was still talking about the shootings, still showing footage of our neighborhood. And I kept thinking about something. How fast everything had escalated. How quickly pride turned into violence. I started writing in my journal. The streets move fast. Problems grow faster than the people who started them. Sometimes pride makes people forget what they're protecting in the first place. Maybe real strength isn't fighting harder. Maybe real strength is knowing when to stop. Because war doesn't just hurt the people involved. It hurts everybody standing nearby. Even the ones who never chose sides. Episode 12, War Going On Outside.